Hello, friends.
Hello.
Welcome to Borgcast 15.9, Piecast number 9. Ooh, nearly there. And we have some...
Previously on Star Trek Picard.
Okay, so Andy thinks that things will tie into Discovery because he reckons the Jadvaj vision, which we see a bit more of in this episode as well, is very similar to the Red Angel one that Spock got.
Okay.
In Discovery Season 2. I think that's purely incidental, a stylistic thing rather than a purposeful thing. I don't expect it to tie in, but hey, if it does, Andy saw it first.
Yeah. And we've heard from Adrian, who writes, so it's all gotten a bit serious, and it looks like we won't be getting a 40 Towers set on the Borg cube. Don't mention Locutus. I think I did it at breakfast, but I got it away with it. We now know that the Zhat Vash were formed when the Romulans found an archive of an AI attack, and they bring a few friends round to go insane. Let's do the time warp again. This leads us into knowing why the Borg cube was disconnected as the information drained from Zhat Vash operatives on the captured ship. How much information makes it back to the collective, I wonder? Would they side with the AI or the organics? Another day, another mystery, another jink with two umbrellas. 7 of 9 keeps up the Terminator impression, rescuing Elnor. He seems pretty poor at being the badass Picard made the warrior nuns out to be. I was quite enjoying the idea of Borg payback, but confused that blowing out into space got rid of them. As we saw in First Contact, they're quite happy doing spacewalks.
Yeah, I think the thing is that they're just out into the void of space floating around. They may still be alive, but, there's no way of getting back. Whereas before they were kind of walking on the hull of the Enterprise, weren't they? I presume they had sort of the Borg equivalent of magnetic boots, so...
Yes. And also, they were all connected to each other properly in a hive, and this one isn't properly working.
Well, kind of. She booted... Oh, yeah, it was before she booted them up, wasn't it? They got chucked out into space. But anyway, yeah.
Possibly. I don't know. Maybe it was the thought of trying to connect them all up that annoyed the Queen of the Borg Age on her fully operational cube. I suspect that the Romulans are in for a nasty shock in the next episode or two. So we have 3 out of 5 daughters of Data, possibly 4 if we include Lal, or are we expecting to find more on the planet? A whole civilization of Sojus, and what will the Zhat Vash do then? Raffi has put some definite seeds into Picard's mind. Is he doing the right thing? Is he going to turn up and make a grand speech, put a sticking plaster on an open wound? Does he know he's on the right side? Will Soji turn out anything like her sister or Data? Am I the only one who wants to see more Detective Raffi and the holograms? Damn it, Rios, Scotty, I need Warp 5 now! Talking of Rios, it's a real shame they've just dumped out his background without a bit more teasing along the way. I guess it's not that much of a story, just something stitches together Commander O's infiltration of Starfleet. I suspect the fleet at DS-12 wouldn't have been so friendly, so it's a good thing the crew are taking the journey to Trans Central, even though they seem to have picked up a tail. Speculation. Did Commodore O influence Maddox to get at Data all those years ago?
It's an interesting thought. I don't think so, but yeah.
Does Discovery and the AI still battle through time? Is the archive linked to Discovery or another race that developed since?
Yeah, I don't think... Well, you never know. We could be yet surprised, and if so, all credit to Andy as well. But yeah, I suppose there could be a connection.
Will 7 of 9 release the Borg without a fight? If daughters have spread into new civilizations, how long did Maddox actually work to make androids? Did Agnes ask if androids dream of electric sheep? Will Rizzo become a Borg? Assimilate the Romulan, not the rat?
Yes, that's a Muppets Christmas Carol reference, but there we go.
Okay. And he says another name for Elnor could be Skywalker.
Yes, Star Walker, isn't it?
Yeah,
so, yes,
could be.
So.
Could be.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We've also heard from Martin.
Hello there, Orgs. It's Martin here with some feedback on Picard Episode 8. First Contact, or Broken Pieces, to be precise, and which I thought was a very good title of the episode, considering how everything is coming together, basically. You have all the different holograms, don't you, of Rios, all with a different piece of the puzzle, and we're finding out what's happening to Dr. Girardi as well, and I suppose you could also say of the Borg collective trying to come back together, I guess, with 7 trying to become a Borg queen. It was a little heartbreaking, actually. I know the Borg are villains, but all those lives being fled out of the pods and spaced, it was quite a dramatic moment, because you think for one moment the whole cube's gonna regenerate and 7's going to be left basically not in control of herself. I mean, in a way, this was kind of like a bottle episode. how I felt, apart from the few bits on the Borg cube, but more or less it was just set aboard the ship. But yeah, I generally enjoyed this one. I thought it moved along quite well. I thought there were some good little character moments for everybody, and I felt that although we weren't kind of physically moving, it did feel that the plot was eking out a bit more. But I was still interested. I was still interested in the characters. I was still interested in how we were going, and I guess at some point you do need to stand still and take a look at things. But I guess we had already done that in the last episode, the Penth Day, didn't we? Where we had the little rest and relaxation with Riker and Troy. So Patrick Stewart, I thought again very good. He gets that lovely little moment where he realises he doesn't know how to fly these newfangled modern spaceships. And yes, I guess we finally find out the Romulans' plan. It's all some big prophecy, isn't it? That obviously all think they're doing very well. And yes, I think it did put a bit more flesh on the bones of Rizzo's character. So we now understand a little more about her. As I say, overall, I quite enjoy this episode. Yes, well, stay safe, everybody, as it's unfortunately it's not actually the Romulans we're fighting at the moment. It's the dreaded Lurgy from COVID-19. Sorry to bring that up, but I think it's probably at the forefront of everyone's minds at the moment. Okay, thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, even though the Borg are the baddies, you are kind of like, oh, they're coming back together. Oh no, they're all dying. Even though, like, they're baddies and you shouldn't think that.
Yeah, but it's done its job well if you're feeling empathy for them and the situation. And of course, a lot of these are XBs that have been sort of split off from the collective. And yeah, I felt the pacing on it was a bit off because we spent so much time just in the ship.
Yeah.
They were travelling and they still hadn't got to the destination by the end, pretty much, hadn't they? Well, they just popped out of the warp conduit, didn't they? Right at the end. Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit slow for my liking, but there you go.
Yeah.
And yes, we're keeping you all in mind in the midst of this craziness that we're in at the moment.
Yes.
More of which a bit later on. And we've heard from Pieman.
Hello, Orgs. Parry here to talk about the Picard episode Broken Pieces. Sorry I'm so late for this. It's been a week. This has actually probably been my least favourite episode of the series. That's not a bad reflection of the episode. I actually still really enjoyed it. I just felt it was very exposition-y. That is, I think this was getting a lot of pieces in place, and I think possibly story suffered a little for it. We had quite a lot of stuff happening and people explaining things that were going on and people explaining motivations and backstories and kind of getting all the revelations in place in order that we can get to our big two-part finale. And I think the episode suffered a little for that because, well, there was still some action, there was still some stuff happening. I like the stuff in the Borg ship. The 7 of 9 stuff was really interesting, actually, because I did watch a Voyager episode a few weeks back where she basically forced a lot of Borg to reform a collective when they were disconnected temporarily, and that so I could see her being nervous about trying to restart a Borg collective in a ship. So that actually worked really well. Without having to say at any point in the episode, why yes, once when I was separated from the collective temporarily, along with several others, I forced them to form a collective and it didn't turn out well, kind of thing. They didn't need to say that. It's just one of those things that if you know it, you can go, ooh. I quite like that, and like I say, the backstory, we finally get Rios' backstory as well, his tragic backstory, and everyone now knows about Agnes as well, and I did like sort of Picard potentially getting Starfleet back, although I still thought that was a trap. I actually thought that's where we're going, was that it's a trap, that they'd go to the starbase, and it turns out Commodore O was behind it the whole time. And she's got a fleet ready, but we're apparently not going down that way. So so like I say, still good. It's just that I thought the episode maybe suffered a bit from being a bit too exposition-y, and I think story suffered because they were trying to make sure that you had all the bits in place before we get onto this 2-part finale, which I've actually just watched the first part of there. So, that, like I say, not disappointing, but just not the best episode. So I'll be back in a bit to talk about the finale, which has got some weird Latin name. But until then, bye for now.
Bye! Oh, yes, more of the weird Latin name in a minute as well.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I mean, you're right that the episode was too exposition-y, but also lesser writers would have had Seven give some kind of speech explaining the backstory or whatever, or even George Lucas written a whole fucking film about it. But so at least, they didn't do that. That this one I don't think they got quite right, but as a rule, they haven't over-explained stuff, have they?
No, I think generally it's been okay. I think that's one of the reasons why that episode 8 stands out a bit, is it is a bit exposition heavy.
Yeah.
But generally, they've been much better than that. Anyways, let's move on to our Latin title for tonight. And this feels like we're back on Deep Space Nine again, to be honest. Et in Arcadia Ego. Or I am in Arcadia. Which sounds like you've gone shopping or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Arcadia group used to be the one that owned like Dorothy Perkins
Exactly.
and Burton.
Yeah.
Shopping in Burton's, Romulan Burton's.
Romulan Burton's, but no, it's Arcadia was originally a place in Greece, where in mythology it was an unspoiled, harmonious place. So I suppose it's kind of a reference to whether the planet isn't called Arcadia, Capalius, is it? Where they've got a sort of harmonious lifestyle that's just about to be interrupted.
Yeah.
But yes, more of that as we go through the episode. But yes, we really didn't need the Latin titles back.
No.
It's just wanky.
Yes.
Stop it.
Admiral Jean-Luc Picard, retired. I take it my face looks familiar.
I feel as if I'm looking at Data.
Data, if he'd gotten old and gone soft. Must be disturbing. I know it is for me. Dr. Alton Inigo Sung, mad scientist. My father had me, but he created Data. In fact, he never let me forget. Get this man some water. Organics our age get parched. We're not all machines here, you know.
Got a great shot of joy on Soji and Rios' faces as they shake their way through the warp conduit, which just reminded me of Tech Sergeant Chen in Galaxy Quest when he gets beamed aboard. He's like, oh, what a ride. They arrive at Capalius and there's a familiar red alert sound, not identical to the Enterprise's,
But it's similar enough.
Yeah, it's from the same people that brought you that noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. This announces the arrival of Narek in his wonderful Snakehead fighter, which is still my favourite ship design for Trek in a very long while. And it proceeds to open fire on La Serena. We get a fun space battle. Hey! Seatbelts are deployed. Hey! Not so used to that. But anyway, I suppose in a smaller ship like this, it makes sense.
It would
on the
have
Enterprise.
made sense anyway, to be honest.
Well, the bigger ships weren't supposed to move around quite so much, so they didn't need them.
Yeah, but
theoretically.
they had. Yeah, but I mean, there's at one point in Next Gen they take the Enterprise in to have various work done on it. It's the one that's why they're doing the Barrion sweep and stuff, right? Well, if they didn't think maybe originally that seatbelts were a good idea, why the fuck did they not fit them at that point?
Because they look strange, to be honest. We're just so used to them not wearing seatbelts. Is that cut scene from Nemesis where Picard gets a seat that's actually got seatbelts, and there's a picture of it online you can see, and it looks weird. And it looks weird here as well. But anyway, it makes sense, don't get me wrong, but it just looks weird because we're not used to it.
See, what I think should happen is something properly science fiction-y. So what should have happened is they should have all been automatically... It would be
force fields holding them in place.
Deploy stasis fields and it pings you in your chair.
Sounds better, doesn't it? But there we go. It looks like Narek's ship is going to go boom, and there's a discussion about whether to rescue him, with Soji being all for letting him die. It's a sort of a theme that will continue throughout the episode. Turns out he was only projecting a false image, though. Then the Borg cube emerges in impressive style. Then giant plants attack them all.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, giant plants draining all their power. Feels like something from the animated series, really, but it's fun. But weird. They all end up crashing down on the planet. Picard passes out. And that's a fantastic opening to the episode, which sadly, in some ways, it's the high spot because it's your space battle. I mean, if you're going to open with a space battle, you ought to close on one as well, because otherwise it just feels like you've had the best bit at the beginning. But there you go. That's just me.
Well, I like the line that Agnes has. It was sort of, they attacked us with a flower.
Yeah. Agnes uses an old-style medical tricorder to scan Picard, discovering his neurological illness. Alison Pill does an excellent wobbly chin acting job when she realises how serious it all is. Blimey, Wibble. Picard fesses up to the crew about his condition, but tells them not to treat him as a dying man, lest they pee him off.
I like that.
And they head off for the Borg cube, which it's a brilliant image of it crashed on the planet, but did remind me rather of the Death Star in the last Star Wars film. It's hot, exclaims Rios as they walk into what looks like a desert. But what continues to bug me for the next few scenes is that Picard is not wearing a hat.
Oh, believe it. Watching this with him, fucking hell, he's going, where's your hat? Where's your hat?
Man?
Where's your hat?
You'll die of heat stroke. He's got no hair.
Where's your hat? Where's your hat? And it's just like, oh.
As somebody who's gone to Africa, you know, you wear a hat. I mean, I've got a full head of hair as well, for that matter, but... Oh, dear.
But we've seen Picard with a hat in other stuff. Didn't he wear a hat in that one with Wesley in the water?
He was wearing like a bit of cloth over his head, I think. But yes, he was being more sensible in that one, yes.
But, I struggled
Final
to
Mission,
hear.
I believe that was called.
Yes,
But anyway.
I struggled to hear some of the dialogue because he's just fucking yelling at Picard where he's...
Here's your hat! They're reunited with Elnor and Seven and hear about Hugh's fate. They also do a scan and find that 218 warbirds are on the way, which is quite amusing. Oh, well, that's all right, because we're not going to survive the first 100 or so.
Yeah.
It's overkill. Where have the Tal Shiar been hiding all these ships, we wonder? But anyway.
Oh, but they're not necessarily Tal Shiar ships.
They are. It's the Tal Shiar, isn't it, who's behind all this? So,
yeah, but could they not have called on mainstream colleagues?
But there are no mainstream colleagues. Remember, Romulus, all the Romulans are all refugees in different planets.
It's like the in Deep Space Nine when you find out that the Obsidian Order have been building...
Hiding away their little fleet, yes.
Yeah.
Picard has a nice moment with Elnor when he tells him he's proud of him. Aww. Although, to be honest, Elnor gets very little to do in this episode as well. He didn't have a lot to do in the last one because he got left behind. He's very much a sort of tertiary character, I think, in this series.
Yeah.
Anyway, Picard tells Seven that saving the galaxy is now all on her, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
They move on to Coppelius Station, where Soji was born. Coppelius is a character from a 19th century German story. Right. A figure of horror who crafts face-like shapes without eyes. So it's presumably sort of reference to androids being built here. Anyway, the place is indeed peopled by these huge number of androids, some with data-like coloured skin, so presumably they're the earlier models. All dressed like they've come from a Next Generation episode.
Oh, so, yeah.
I mean, it's not quite as raw. You don't see quite as much side boob as you would in a Next Generation episode. But nevertheless, they're clearly drawing from that wear-fest. Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all sort of unnecessarily fluty, isn't it?
And lots of tummies on show as well.
Yeah, for no reason.
We meet Arcana, who's played by Jade Ramsey, who's from Bournemouth. Bournemouth!
Romulan Bournemouth?
Romulan Bournemouth. So yet another Brit. They do like using actors from these shores in the series for some reason. Her twin, because of course they all have twins, is called Saga, which is a great name for somebody who was born in Bournemouth. And for our friends from other shores, Saga is a holiday company for those of advanced years, shall we say. And Bournemouth is famous for... It's like our Florida, basically. It's where people go to retire. Brent Spiner turns up as Soong's son, Alton Inago? How did he pronounce it? I can't remember now. Inigo, I think. Altoon Inago Soong, who mad scientist, he says. Yeah. Now, this would have been a nice surprise if blooming Jonathan Frakes hadn't spoilt his appearance in the episode 24 hours before we got to see it. Thank you, Frakes. Consider yourself unfollowed, you bearded twit. And this is, it has to be said, Spiner's best performance as an old man. Although, of course, less acting is required these days. So, we're also introduced to Sutra, not Kama Sutra, who's played by Issa Briones, who's the same person, of course, who plays Soji. She's got a touch of the evil twin about her, which is rather cool.
See, I've got a theory about this. Oh. I'm wondering if instead of being the daughter of Data, she's the daughter of Law.
Oh, well, that would be interesting, but I'm not sure they're going to... Well, they have dropped a bit of continuity, haven't they, along the way, so... Anyway, yeah.
Would you explain the evilness, you see?
Yeah, there's definitely something evil about her, isn't there? Yeah, and it's a nice performance, because she just puts that edge on her. Yeah. She's also able to mind meld, which seems a bit improbable, but there you are, the plot demands it, and she learns of the existence of the synthetics beyond the galaxy, who will come and wipe out all organics and save them all, apparently. The music's really good for this scene, all ominous. Although I could have done without the fox being eaten up by maggots and rot.
Oh, that was, That's
one of the most icky images Trek has ever used.
Yeah, it was like, ooh.
Hope you're not eating your tea when you watch that. We are shown Spot 2, which is a name nobody would give to a cat. I mean, Spot the Second, maybe, but not Spot 2.
Or just Spot.
Or just Spot, more likely, yes.
Named after a previous Spot.
Yes, but they've got to do that.
Spotty.
Spotty. Spot 2. Spittoon. Poor cat's covered in gob. It's telling we don't see it with Spiner, who famously, of course, isn't a cat person and didn't enjoy his time with the original Spot. Either of them. Anyway, Raffi is given a repair tool, which apparently is powered by imagination. Imagine a spaceship.
Story makers, working through the night till the rising sun. Story makers, stories are fabulous, stories are fun.
Do we need to explain that reference, or is it better we just move on? Possibly better we move on, but yes, it's a children's TV series from many years ago now, because we're old. She also gives Picard a hug and tells him that she loves him. Amusingly awkward when he returns the compliments.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it back. Oh, good. I do love you, though.
Yeah.
Narek tells Soji that he loves her. I know, she replies, which I'm sure has been said elsewhere, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that gag again. Saga tells him she'll tend to his wound, which you know isn't going to go well. And noticeable, you don't actually see him for the rest of the episode, do you?
No.
Sutra turns up and offers Narek a way out. What if killing is the only way to survive, Soji asks, which seems to be kind of the theme of this episode. And a particularly difficult question when they find Saga dead from a hummingbird in the eye. I presume she got killed some other way and then
It was a
put in her eye.
brooch she was wearing. She's
Yeah,
been
I know.
stabbed in the eye with it.
But that's not going to kill you, is it? I mean, they presumably
Through
killed
to
it,
the
then
brain.
stuck it in. Oh, right. It was really pointy, I suppose.
Except that only works for, like, organics.
Yeah,
Would it
yeah.
really kill a positronic?
No, I think they'd have had to have killed her first and then stuck the thing. Anyway, let's not dwell on that.
Yeah.
But it's a bizarre image. Sutra and Soong are intent on summoning the Super Simps from beyond the galaxy, which sounds like a 70s pop group.
It does.
The scene with Picard trying to appeal to them to be all better than that is very Next Generation. We're definitely in familiar territory here. Seems like Soji has turned against him, but I rather suspect she hasn't really, but we shall see. Agnes appeals to help the Simps and Soong to download his consciousness into the android body that he's made for that purpose. Creepy.
Wasn't that the subject of a Next Gen episode? Someone downloading their consciousness?
Yes, no, that was the Ira Graves, wasn't it, in the second series? Yes. Cut to the cool-looking bridge of a warbird with Commodore O in an excellent outfit, complete with updated Romulan shoulder pads.
Yeah.
She's referred to by one of her crew as Commodore, which initially I found irksome because it's her Starfleet rank. But then I remembered, of course, Geordie calls Bokra Commodore in The Enemy, so perhaps it is a Romulan rank.
Right, there we
Although,
are.
what are the chances that she has exactly the same rank in the Romulan military as she does in Starfleet? But anyway. Of course, he hadn't called her Commodore. We might not have known who she was because we don't get a very good shot of her. So, oh well. The camera zooms out of the ship to show an external shot of the Romulan fleet travelling at warp, which, because it's all lit by blue because of the warp, that looked very Star Trek the Motion Picture to me, but there you go. They weren't being chased by V'Ger in this case. So, all in all, I thought this was a good episode. Just a bit of a shame they put the most exciting bit at the start, but never mind, other than that. I mean, it's not like it's lacking tension in the rest of it. But yes, you always have to finish with a space battle and not start with one. That's silly.
Well, unless you start and end with one.
Exactly. That's the better way to do it,
Yeah.
of course. But yeah.
I found this sort of... A little bit, I was just like, is this going to be like the Masterpiece Society when they all turned up in them clothes? And it was just like, well, they're all androids, they've all been engineered. Do you know what I mean?
Those were genetically engineered in that case, but yes.
Yeah. So
Thankfully it wasn't. That was a cringeworthy episode.
it was terrible. And then you've got Soong-sun, which just sounds like a...
Sort of zoom. Zoom,
Soong-sun is a
zoom,
phone.
zoom, zoom. Sorry, that's a very, very old play school song.
Fine, whatever. I just think he sounds like a make a phone, Soong-sun.
Zoom, zoom.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like he's all like, oh no, you've got to save my people, and it's just like, you've not watched Battlestar Galactica, have you? Because that just made me think of Boltar in the original run. You know what I mean? And he's like, you kill all the humans.
Yeah.
Oh, but
wait,
not...
I'm a human. Yeah.
Yes.
No, but to give Son of Soong his benefit, he does have a backup plan, which is his android body he wants to convert to. So. Yeah, and we don't get a look at what it looks like features-wise, which is interesting. So, yes. Be interesting to see. Yeah, there are loads of little threads put in this, like, you know, imagine a spaceship tool and what's going on between Agnes and Son of Soong and all, you know, and what will happen about the cube. They seem to be starting to repair it, so maybe it will come to the rescue at the end.
Yeah.
So lots of little threads seeded, which hopefully will pay off. I've generally felt that this series has been really good, and I just hope they don't drop the ball on the last episode, because we want a nice payoff now, and it'll have been a really spectacular series all in all, I think.
Yeah. I think the other thing I would say as well is that I really like whatever the actor's name is who plays Soji and the evil one.
Yeah, that was the one whose name I completely mangled, and I can only apologise to her for that. I ought to send her an email immediately. Oh wait, she's not answering my calls. Is Isa? Would you say Isa?
Isa. Brioniza, I guess.
Brioniza.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's really good. Yeah.
She is, because Brent Spiner can't play multiple characters. We know. She can.
Yes, no, she did. She's a far more subtle actor, isn't she?
Yes, and also a lot better than Picard being a low as well.
Yeah, that was fine because it was meant to be comedic. That's not a problem.
No, that's true. I mean, Patrick Stewart can act, I just, when I saw her, initially my heart sank because I had visions of the whole Brent Spiner multiple character bollocky shit, and it wasn't like that.
No, this is the same performance for Soji, just tweaked a little more evil. Splendid stuff. Well, let's find out what other people thought.
And we've heard from Doreen, who writes, I enjoyed this. It was good to see and hear Brent Spiner again. But apart from the above, I can't really think what to say, even after watching it twice.
Nope, there we go.
That's okay.
Short but sweet. Thank you, Doreen. We've also heard from Martin.
Hi there, Peter and Anne-Marie. It's Martin. I'm back again with some thoughts on Picard Episode 9, Insurrection. Please don't record scratch me now. But it's sort of an insurrection, isn't it? A bit, with the synthetics kind of uprising. No, maybe. Anyway, I quite enjoyed this episode. It was a nice little setup to what's presumably going to be a huge space battle next week to round off the series. I had a few Star Wars vibes from this one. Namely, look at Picard's outfit; he's very Han Solo. And also the crashed Borg cube in the desert, because Star Wars recently has liked to bury its icons, hasn't it, with the Star Destroyer and the Death Star, all that. So I wonder if it's taken its cue a little from that. But I thought it was certainly a very striking opening with the Borg cube coming through the portal or whatever it was, just looming into view. You just get the huge size and scale of the thing. And also the kind of the resurrection of Picard's brain condition, I thought was quite interesting. I wonder if we are now heading for a death, perhaps when the whole series, not this first series, but when the whole series is complete, we're gonna kill off Picard, as what happens to Han Solo, simply because Sir Patrick Stewart can have kind of an ending to the character, and he won't be asked every few years, can we bring Captain Picard back? So I think maybe what we are seeing is definitely Picard's last hurrah here. We had Brent Spiner popped up again, didn't he, as another member of the Song family, and it's interesting that he was the one who kind of stopped Picard right at the end, called for his arrest, but he said, well, no, they're not going to listen to him. And you have this man of words, has his speech kind of taken away from him, and he's a bit powerless. As again, the thing was it's quite interesting. Not an awful lot to say more about this one. I think there was a lot of setup. It was quite interesting. I think there's quite a few deep cut original series references and things in there that I probably don't understand. And there's one about murderous fungi, and presumably leads back to an episode. And of course, we saw an old tricorder as well, didn't we? I think that was from the Next Gen. I did want to say, I think previous episode with Dr. Girardi, I do think it's a bit odd that she was clearly upset when she murdered Bruce Maddox, but I was in the previous episode she saw Soji and the rest of the synths, and suddenly she's kind of like, no, I could never kill you. I could, she's suddenly a changed figure, and that kind of didn't kind of gel with me a little bit. But I think in this, how she kind of ends up trying to seek some redemption with the synths, and going on perhaps to take a more senior role, not only to seek that redemption because but because she's so interested in synthetic life, I think that feels quite real. I think that's all I wanted to say. So, okay, we've got our set up, and we'll see what happens next week in the thrilling season finale. Okay, thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Yeah. I'm not sure about Dr. Jurati either.
Yeah.
She does seem to sort of flip-flop or something, doesn't she?
It's not been that well-defined a journey for her, has it? Because she starts off nice, and then apparently she's murderously evil. Then she's quite quickly nice again.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And now she's... I don't know what she's doing now. I rather suspect she's trying to work behind the scenes to help Picard and co. personally, but we shall see.
Yeah, we don't know, do we? Are we going to see... they're bringing out the brain condition again. Are we going to see Picard's death? Well, one possibility, of course, is that Picard becomes a synth. And it's Picard who ends up in that body.
Ooh.
Rather than...
Soon.
Yeah.
Ah, there's a thought. Wow. Would be interesting if that turns out, yeah.
Just a guess.
Mm-hmm. Would then enable them to do more series, of course, because they do have at least one lined up, don't they?
Yeah,
so
it's supposed to be
he's
3
not
series.
Going to die, is he? So
no,
yeah.
And then, of course, if he's in charge of the synths, maybe he can convince them not to...
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe the people from outer space turn up and he reasons with them as a fellow synth who has recently been a human.
Oh, a very interesting thought. Okay. Yeah, we don't mention the I word around here, okay? And he went to a Star Wars place too?
Yeah.
That was definitely a very familiar looking visual, that, wasn't it?
Murderous fungus. Was it fungus that made Spock be a hippie?
It was a plant rather than a fungus, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't see any references there, but there may be that there might appear on Memory Alpha between now and next week. I'll keep my eyes open for that.
Yep.
I think the tricorder was a Discovery one. It certainly didn't look like a Next Generation one, and that would be my bet because obviously they've got those props lying around. So antique tricorder, fair enough. You can use a Discovery one for that, can't you?
Yeah, that's true. That's the thought. Have there been murderous fungus in Discovery?
Don't think so. I mean, that whole planet was against them.
Yeah.
But that wasn't fungus again, particularly, was it? But I suppose spores.
Yeah.
Practically fungus, but no, I think that's the closest we've got so far, isn't it? The spores.
Yeah.
Right. We've also heard
From the Llama God. What did he make of this?
Omegaslag, Scott Date, Featured, Noye, Tree, Engage, Flower Power. Alright then, this is ultimate Star Trek, isn't it? This is pure distilled Star Trek. We've got an alien planet with weird things that have the power of gods, protecting a colony of scantily clad hippie robots who are all facing a meaty mole conundrum. Yeah, it doesn't really get any more Star Trek than this. If anyone wanted more Star Trek, here we go. Okay, maybe some more space battles would be good, but really that's not the core of Star Trek, is it, if you go back to the 60s? So yeah, first things first though, before I get to the meat of the episode, I'd like to go to what seems at first like a bit of a cop-out in that Brent Spiner appears and he's not playing Data, is he? No, he's playing the hitherto unmentioned son of Dr. Noonien Soong. Now, yeah, you can argue why didn't we hear about him before, but let's face it, we only learned about Soong's wife in season 7 of Star Trek Next Generation, so what the hell, why not? Maybe he probably did have a son. And you know what? Given how vain and egotistical and just plain weird Noonien Soong was, it seems about right that he would actually model his android children after his actual children. And yeah, I'm sure that would have fucked up pretty much everyone. So really, having Brent Spiner playing yet another unrevealed Soong and having it be his son, yeah, that actually kind of works, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm a little bit disappointed because one of my pet theories for this show was that the season would end with a humanoid Data appearing, where Data's consciousness had been rebuilt from the one positronic neuron fragment they were mentioning in the first episode, and now he was in a human body so he could age and the actor wouldn't have to worry about the fact that he was aging. And I figured that was the way they would go, but in a way that would have been an even bigger cop-out, because having Data come back to life then kind of renders his sacrifice meaningless. So yeah, this is a good halfway house, I guess, of keeping Brent Spiner happy and I guess wrong-footing everyone who was expecting Data to come back in some shape or form. There is of course every possibility that Data will still come back, because clearly Baby Soong is building himself a body that he can transfer his consciousness into, and I'm sure they'll end up transferring Data's consciousness or something instead, so I'm sure that'll go a bit wrong. But the big thing about this episode is that we finally get to colony androids, and yeah, they're very 60s, aren't they, with their very William Ware Tice-styled outfits, which leave not very much to the imagination. The obvious gold paint jobs, the very hippie-like nature. As I said, this is pure Star Trek. And we learn that some of the androids can mind meld. Again, this is not necessarily an issue that I have a problem with. You could argue that they shouldn't be able to do it because there's Vulcan mysticism and drives the whole mind meld thing, but if you want to take it as a purely biological function, then actually, yeah, if androids can read and share little impulses, which are essentially neurotransmitters, brain functions, then yeah, why not? I think I'll let them have this one, because it also speeds the plot up a bit, doesn't it? And we learn the truth behind the prophecy. The prophecy wasn't the massive foreboding shadow of doom that had been prophesied. It was, in fact, a massive foreboding prophecy of doom. That was a very weird reveal, that one. It's like, no, this isn't about androids being the destruction of all life. It is, in fact, about androids being the destruction of all life. Interesting. I'm glad they did address that in this episode, because I thought it was going to go unmentioned until at least next episode. I guess being out in the open, though, it does mean that it's not just a nebulous idea of things that could come, but it's actually revealed to be an actual choice, is that these synthetic life forms have the choice to engage with this higher federation, and it's this choice that becomes the moral argument, the actual meat of the episode, and presumably the next episode as well, is that does their own desire to survive outweigh the right for all existing life forms to survive? Do the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many? This is classic Star Trek. Aside from that, I thought this was a great little penultimate episode. It's really setting the scenes for what's going to be coming next, and a lot of nice tense moments. We still don't entirely know what the new Soji, I've forgotten her name, is actually up to in letting Narek go. She clearly has some designs. It's good that we've not let Agnes get away with things, and we get a lovely, wonderful, tender moment between Picard and Raffi where he finally admits that he has feelings for another human being at the very least. There are a lot of lovely little character moments in this episode, which I think helps and sets us up ready for whatever's going to come in the next episode. Just by way of a couple of little bits of random trivia, the android that greets me at first had the name Arcana, which is interesting for me because that's the name of a headmaster from the original Transformers lines from the 1980s. Arcana being the name of the smaller humanoid that was binary bonded to a larger character called Brainstorm, and Arcana turned into Brainstorm's head, as the term headmaster probably doesn't actually suggest. What's interesting about that is that they were humanoids bonding with machines, and here we have a synthetic life form, and Arcana and Brainstorms were the scientists of the root. Clearly they took some inspiration from there, or maybe Arcana just sounds cool and that's why they went with it. Also, the title of the episode, Et in Arcadia Ego, seems to reference a phrase from a painting, I believe, which was one of the keystones to the whole Sangrail, Holy Blood and Holy Grail, Bloodline of Christ conspiracy theory that started up in the 80s and which ultimately ended up inspiring things like Da Vinci's Demons and all that stuff. Also, I'm sure you're probably not particularly keen on that one. I guess it has some sort of relevance to this episode in that they've found the secret bloodline of the Soongs and the secret descendants of Data, and they've also discovered the ultimate truths behind the hidden message that Shadfast was so scared about, so I guess maybe that's where it comes into it. Or maybe they're just big fans of Dan Brown. I guess someone has to be, other than Dan Brown. The shot of the Romulan fleet was also wonderful and tantalising. I'm sure there's a new ship there at the front. That vessel commanded by ex-Commodore O seemed to be an even bigger warbird than the other warbirds, so I'm looking forward to seeing those more in the next episode. If they don't, I guess we'll all be disappointed. And the highlight of the episode for Joe, anyway, was the revelation that La Serena had seatbelts. They actually had seatbelts, finally. There's a lot of interesting stuff set up here. It looks like it could be a very good, meaty action and also ethic discussion, moral-based final episode with a lot of speeches from Picard, I'm sure, and dilemmas with people doing the right thing to survive, needs of the many and all that. So, until then, I am looking forward to hearing what everyone has to make of this. I hope you are all keeping safe in these times, and until next week, glory to you and your cast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I like that. Oh, let them have the mind meld. It speeds up the plot.
Yes, I think that's kind of like, it doesn't really make much sense, but hey, it gets things going, so okay, we'll give that a pass. Don't want to spend ages on trying to explain that one away, really. But yeah, it doesn't make an awful lot of sense, I don't think. I mean, basically, it's no way around it. It's got to be mysticism, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's been there since Trek's beginning, so sorry. Those of you who want it to be all scientific. Try and explain Star Trek 3, people. Try and explain Star Trek 3. Anyway. And
I like the Transformers reference. Maybe it's that.Maybe they're drawing on Transformers.
Yes, they're all going to transform into a truck or something. Maybe not. Maybe not. Or spaceships. Spaceships, that's it.
Spaceships.
These are androids that transform into space. Oh, I think we'd probably hear Llama God explode halfway around the world. That happens. It's the Transformers Star Trek crossover we really wanted. Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alrighty. And we finish off as we usually do with Puri.
Hello, Orcs. Puri here to talk about the Picard episode. Hang on, let's look this up. Yeah, man looks at thing on the internet. Et in Arcadia Ego, or as I should probably just call it, Latin and Latin. Yeah, Ponzi Latin episode titles, How Deep Space Nine. So yeah, this is quite entertaining. Anyone else caught out by the... because I'm recording this for once before I've heard your feedback. So anyone else caught out by the Brent Spiner appearing? Didn't expect that. Kind of annoyed at there being another Soong. Just, oh yeah, there was a whole other Soong sibling that we never heard of and never knew anything about, and it looks like he's wanting to transfer his consciousness into an indestructible robot body, which I can relate to. Often I have wanted an indestructible robot body with which to transfer my consciousness in so I can live forever and crush the humans. It's just how we live. But yeah, this was quite good. It's some decent sort of interesting visuals, like the plants coming up and knocking out ships. The Borg ship crashed, and all that stuff was working quite well. Again, we've got some lovely reunions. Picard and Eleanor was a genuinely touching one, and I did quite like Picard revealing that yes, he's got a degenerative fatal condition. And Picard swore. We got Sweetie Picard. It's awesome. And I mean, the scene with Raffi I found a bit awkward, but I don't know if it was meant. I mean, I think it was meant to be awkward. I just didn't know why it was there. She says she loves him, and I kind of thought she was meaning platonically. But then he goes, "Oh, I love you too, by the way," and it almost had the "Yeah, I'm going to die anyway." At some point, might as well. So it was a bit of a weird scene, not quite sure what they were going with that. But I did like the planet of the synths, and that they'd made them sort of data-y. We've got like a sort of Soji, but she's got gold skin and yellow eyes, and indeed kind of an evil one, if we're honest, sort of doing weird, corrupt things. And we kind of finally find out what this message is, that it's all been garbled, but it's in fact a thing saying, basically, since if organics create you and they start trying to kill you, come with us and we'll do them over proper. So that's kind of, it is, again, we're kind of building up to a big finale, because we've got that, and then just at the end we also see the big Romulan fleet. Spaceship Bridge! Yay, Spaceship Bridge. So that was quite neat as well. So yeah, I mean, overall, I suppose this one is going to depend. There was a lot of setup in this. There were some nice moments and some good stuff, and as always, the acting and generally the dialogue is brilliant. All the exchange between characters seemed to work. I've been really impressed with Agnes. Actually, she's been brilliant. But just in general, these are characters I want. Even if somehow we lose Picard, which I don't think we're going to do, but if we somehow lose Picard in this series, I would still watch Rios and Agnes and Raffi and possibly Eleanor and a few other people diving around the universe solving crimes or something. I'd be up for that. But I think this one will really depend on how much they stick the landing, because it's very much the first half of a story, and being the first half of a story, it's not complete, and it definitely has a feeling of not being complete, and it's also kind of the finale of this one, so yeah, I'm interested to see where we're going with this. But yeah, overall, it's been solid stuff, and I'll definitely feed back on the last episode, where hopefully I can kind of give you final thoughts and we can talk a bit about the series. But until then, bye for now.
Bye. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Kind of like sort of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, but without Spider-Man. Picard and His Amazing Friends would have been a good title for the series, actually. But there we are.
It's interesting that the thing with Raffi is, I think it is supposed to be awkward from both of their points of view.
Yeah, and I think it is platonic as well. Yeah. They do love each other, but not like that. Yeah. Which apparently, even in the 24th century, is still a bit awkward. It's okay. I'm going to live with that.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't suddenly become a mad, passionate romance out of nowhere.
Oh, God, no. That's the one thing I said right at the beginning that I did not want to see, was Picard bedding women much younger than him. Just, yeah. No. So, I don't think that's going to happen anyway. But hey, who could tell? No. We'll find out with the final episode. I wonder how long it'll be. It'll probably be an extra long one, won't it? I suspect. We're going to give you plenty of time to send in your feedback for it. So we're not going to record until next Monday, which, add a week onto the current one, is the 30th, I want to say. Yep, Monday the 30th, we'll be recording our thoughts on Latin Part 2.
Yes, and we're also going to be talking about the series overall. So if you want to give us feedback on the series overall, as well as on the last episode specifically.
It's easy for you to say, yeah.
Yes, then do get in touch.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. All right, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Come on into the library. It's a place where I love to be. Looking at books.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. #Borgcast.
Imagine a story. What kind of story is it going to be? Sniff and Wag are friends. When the day ends and the sky grows dark, they sneak into the park through a hole in the fence.
Story makers, working through the night till the rising sun. Story makers.
Shut it down!